We thought you'd like to meet two of the people involved in this extraordinary movie. The film's director, Richard Marquand, followed by the man inside C-3PO, actor Anthony Daniels. Neil first asked Marquand how he prepared for this monumental challenge.
By the time I actually came to shoot Jedi, I knew Star Wars and Empire backwards and forwards. I knew them extremely well. And I liked the apparent naivete and simplicity with which George had made Star Wars. I liked that style very much.
Game clear? Okay, stay sharp.
Here they come.
I found the slight, possibly over-sophistication of a slightly more filmic, more visual way in which Kirsch told his story a little bit excessive for me, for my tastes.
Echo Station 5-7, we're on our way. All right, boys, keep tight now.
Luke, I have no approach vector. I'm not set.
Steady, Dak. Attack pattern Delta. Go now. All right, coming in.
I'm a sentimental, very emotional Welshman with a rather maddening sense of humor. I have a twinkle in my eye, and I think the previous director was a different kind of person with perhaps a deeper sense of gloom or a deeper sense of doom, and maybe slightly less sense of humor. George is a different man again, with a different kind of an attitude to relationships and so forth. Maybe a little bit more introverted, perhaps a little bit more distant, with maybe therefore a greater sense of action storyline and perhaps less interest in the way that people interact. For me, this film is about friendship and loyalty and trust and self-identification. But don't take it too seriously. Let's have a laugh about it. But when we're going to cry, let's cry. And when we're going to laugh, let's laugh. And I think that's what I guess I brought to this movie, and I like to think that's why I was asked to direct it.
You directed Anthony Daniels as C-3PO, the robot. And I'm wondering what it's like to direct a star who happens to be an inanimate object.
Tony Daniels is a brilliant actor, as you can see. His performance is amazing. His ability to express things through a completely blank sheet of metal is quite extraordinary.
A bit better knock, I suppose. There doesn't seem to be anyone here. Let's go back and tell Master Luke. Goodness gracious me. R2D-Toa.
One of the problems of being 3PO is that R2 tends to come along with you, and he can be a bit of a pain in the... I don't think 3PO has one of those, but if he had, he'd be a pain in there. And it's a kind of definitely a love-hate thing between the two of them. And one of the main problems is that if you have a very serious discussion, for instance, with a cup of tea, so that if I sit here saying, you know, where are you going? Well, what makes you think there are settlements over there? Well, that weighs much. One of you is crazy. I mean, there's a lot of grown-ups watching you do this act, and it's a rare kind of act because you have to remember my lines and his lines and my reply, and the whole thing gets a kind of hysteria about it. Am I doing the right thing? And sometimes I get it wrong. I shall now have some tea.
Now that we've seen two of the people behind the scenes of Return of the Jedi, and now that the Star Wars trilogy is completed, it may be time for some final thoughts.
I think George Lucas is the Disney of the 80s and maybe the 90s if he makes more. Young people and old people can look at these three films and see science fiction as it is meant to be seen. And all of the science fiction films which follow will have to match the Star Wars trilogy in quality and excitement and universal appeal.
Well, I can only look to the film's attraction for me And I think that they attract me because George Lucas has created the world of children. And he's created the two major aspects of that world. One, magic with all the special effects, and two, the sense of order with the clear delineation between good and evil. And with those two aspects, you feel like a child again as you watch these movies.